Welcome to the Get Wisdom podcast. And hey, for you folks maybe looking for a new way to do life or trying to figure out how to get unstuck, in any area really, or maybe just needing a fresh perspective on things, we can definitely assist with that. You should check us out at www.getwisdom.cc.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Jay.
And today, we're diving into a really foundational white paper by Brent Ziemann. It's called Love, Connection, and the Human Curriculum. Our goal here is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack the source material and give you some actionable insights, things you can actually use.
Okay, let's jump right in. The main idea right from the start in the executive summary is this concept that we humans, we're driven by something much deeper than just like survival or getting stuff.
Yeah.
It's suggesting that love and connection, that's the core thing behind basically every decision, every conflict, every hope we have.
It really is a powerful way to reframe it.
Yeah.
Because it takes love from being just, a feeling. The paper says it's more like the operating system for human motivation. Our OS, basically.
The operating system, wow.
Yeah. And if love is that core OS, then everything else that happens, every behavior, even the really destructive stuff, when you unpack it, it often reveals some kind of distorted attempt to find that belonging, to secure that connection, like a program glitch trying to run the main directive.
Okay, so if love's the operating system, what happens when it crashes? Does the paper talk about fixing those corrupted motivations?
It does, yeah. But first, we kind of have to look at how we usually measure things. Society tends to judge success by what the paper calls the big three: health, relationships, and finances.
Right. Usual suspects.
Exactly. But if love is the OS, then those metrics, they're just incomplete, totally insufficient if you look at them alone. They show the output, maybe, but not the underlying drive.
That makes sense. And that's where it gets really interesting, right? Why are we so focused on those big three if they don't tell the whole story? We all know people, or know of people, who seem to have it all: health, money, but are just miserable inside. That paradox is everywhere.
It is. And that's the paradox the paper tries to tackle. It shows how, having plenty of stuff doesn't mean you're not experiencing scarcity somewhere else. We tend to think poverty is just about money, right? But the author identifies three specific kinds of scarcity, and they often happen together. They really define the human experience.
That breakdown of poverty into three types, that's a really different take than standard economics. Can you walk us through those? And why the non-financial ones are so key to this whole curriculum idea?
Sure. So the first one is obvious: financial poverty. Lack of money, lack of resources. We get that. Its impact is pretty clear. But the other two, arguably, they hit harder when it comes to this human curriculum concept. There's emotional poverty.
Emotional poverty.
Yeah, that's the scarcity of validation, acceptance, feeling truly supported for who you are unconditionally. It really highlights just how deep and constant that need for connection is.
Okay. And the third type, relational poverty. That sounds like it might be the biggest one, maybe the most damaging today.
It very well could be. Relational poverty.
Yeah.
It reminds us that love itself, which the paper calls the ultimate human currency, is missing, or it's just thin, superficial. You can absolutely be loaded with the big three: money, health, maybe even lots of contacts, but still be relationally poor.
So you have the resources, but the actual connections, they lack depth or realness.
Exactly. No authenticity, no real meaning there. And the paper suggests this is the deepest kind of lack. It really drives home the point that you can't just buy your way out of needing genuine human connection.
Wow. So the real lesson isn't just about managing money or assets. It's about managing the relational currency we have. And that flows right into the main metaphor, the central idea of the whole paper, this concept of Earth School.
Yeah, framing life as Earth School, it completely shifts your perspective, doesn't it? It suggests that the circumstances you're born into, your parents, your culture, where you live, they don't just happen to you randomly. They actually create a curriculum for you.
The curriculum.
Okay. And the really crucial insight here is that challenges, struggles, they aren't accidents. They're assignments, tailored specifically for your growth.
I like that the paper seems careful not to make it sound totally predetermined, though. It's not like fate is sealed. The environment is maybe the textbook or the classroom. But the lessons themselves, they're designed to build up things like resilience, empathy, creativity, wisdom. But, okay, if that's true, why do some people seem to get stuck with a curriculum that just feels impossible, overwhelmingly hard?
That's a really important question. The paper seems to suggest that abundance and lack. There's just different classrooms. They teach different lessons, but both are necessary. If you look at the specific examples of curriculum it gives, there's always this kind of duality.
Let's pull some of those out. Like, if you face serious poverty, the lesson assigned is about perseverance, resourcefulness,
Yeah.
learning to build with almost nothing.
Right. And conversely, think about someone born into, say, massive unearned wealth. That's not a free pass from learning. That curriculum might teach the insufficiency of materialism, or maybe the heavy weight of stewardship, of responsibility. If they lack connection, they learn pretty fast that money can't buy real relationships.
And it goes beyond just money, too, right? Pain, loss. They aren't just random hits. They're part of the curriculum for teaching compassion, deeper feeling.
Exactly. While on the flip side, success, privilege, they aren't random luck either. They come with lessons, too, about responsibility, maybe humility, how to handle influence wisely. Every situation, whether it looked hard or easy from the outside, has its own tailored lesson plan, and it's all aimed at developing wisdom.
But the goal is still the same underneath.
The ultimate objective, no matter where you start, still seems to center on navigating that core drive for love and connection.
Okay, that connects us nicely to the third section of the paper. This part tackles adversity, but also agency, our ability to choose, and this idea that perfection isn't really the goal. Let's go back to poverty as a teacher for a second. The paper points out how adversity often sparks that drive, right? It acts like an incubator.
Yeah, and there's some compelling data behind that. The paper mentions that specific statistic. Something like 81 or 82% of self-made millionaires in the U.S. are first generation.
Wow, 81, 82%.
It suggests they really leveraged that resourcefulness, that hunger that maybe came from experiencing lack and used it to build abundance. It kind of reinforces the idea that discomfort can be a powerful catalyst.
That is a striking stat. But let me push back a bit here, play devil's advocate. Isn't that potentially survivorship bias?
How so?
Well, for every one person who comes from poverty and makes it big, how many others face the same adversity and just get crushed by it, never really find stability? Does the paper address the ones who don't succeed in that financial sense?
That's a fair point, and yes, it does touch on that by bringing in the concept of agency, which we need to talk about. But first, it stresses that the experience of adversity itself, the pain, is part of the growth mechanism. It shapes you, your perspective, your drive, kind of regardless of the final financial outcome. But your point about survivorship bias is good, and that's where the paper pivots from just the environment, a curriculum, to the individual student.
Okay, so if the lesson from adversity is resourcefulness,
Yeah.
even if you don't become a millionaire, what does all this mean for, say, parents? People trying really hard to create that perfect, stable, emotionally supportive childhood.
That leads right into what the paper calls the illusion of perfection. It's pretty direct about this. Parents simply cannot guarantee a specific outcome for their child. You can provide everything, emotional availability, financial security, a seemingly flawless environment, but the result isn't programmable. The human spirit, the human journey, it just doesn't work like an engineering project.
Well, why not? If you optimize the environment, shouldn't that optimize the child?
Because the child, according to this paper, doesn't arrive as a blank slate. They come with their own agency, their own intention, maybe even their own preset lessons to learn.
Agency.
And this is the absolute key, the choice point. Every single person has free will. We get to decide how we engage with whatever curriculum we're given. The child still has to choose how to respond, whether they're surrounded by abundance or scarcity.
So that keeps the individual involved, right? Responsible for their choices, no matter how good or bad the starting point was. That's a big thought for any parent.
It really is. And if you zoom out to the bigger picture here, the purpose of life, according to this framework, isn't about achieving flawlessness, not in the environment, not in the person. The purpose is the learning itself. It's about exercising that free will, that perfect childhood. It's just one version of the curriculum. And it has its own lessons, maybe learning about the limits of comfort or, like we said, stewardship.
Right. So, okay, let's try to wrap this up. The core takeaway from this white paper seems to be that human development isn't simple cause and effect. It's this dynamic interplay between our environment, our own choices, and this tailored curriculum we each get. And every path, rich, poor, great parents, absent parents, it's all designed somehow as a pathway to growth.
Exactly. And the thing that ties every single one of those paths together, the paper consistently argues, is that fundamental core drive for love and connection. That's the engine running underneath it all. It fuels our striving, and ultimately, it's where the learning is pointing us.
So the paper really encourages a big shift in how we see things. Instead of feeling like a victim, asking, why me? Why did this happen? Okay, we're encouraged to step into the role of the student, to ask,
Yeah.
okay, what is this trying to teach me right now?
Precisely. Challenges, pain, even good fortune. They aren't system errors, they're just the raw materials for building wisdom. And since love is that core OS, even when it seems broken or corrupted, it's still the underlying force, pushing the system back towards connection, towards wholeness.
So ultimately, the source material is suggesting that love isn't just the driving force, it's also the main lesson and the final objective of this whole human curriculum.
That seems to be the core message.
That is definitely a powerful and, provocative thought to leave you all with today.
Absolutely. And hey, if you are looking for a new way to approach life or maybe need that fresh perspective we talked about, remember you can always check out www.getwisdom.cc.
And if you're interested in digging deeper into these ideas, maybe connecting directly with the author of the paper, Brent Ziemann, you can reach him at 972-301-2878, or you can email him at getwisdomprinciple@gmail.com. We'll have that info link too.
Also, please do check out our sponsors. They're the ones who make it possible for us to unpack material like this. You can find them at www.getwisdom.cc sponsors.
Thank you all so much for joining us today on the Get Wisdom podcast.
We really appreciate you listening. We'll see you tomorrow, right back here on the Get Wisdom podcast.